Cover two subjects today. You get a bonus. Hello, Shatoya. Hello, TikTok family. Hello, YouTube family. Hello, hello, hello. We're going to have a interesting subject today. Water and fire. We're going to talk about water and fire today. Water and fire in hoodoo. How you can use these elements, how we are using these elements, why we use these elements. What does these elements have anything to do with hoodoo? We're going to dive in here today and talk about fire and water and hoodoo. I hope I see who was his name? Potions, Masters of Potions in here today cuz I had a chance to look up that Pascal Rudolph Randolph. Very interesting uh he had a very interesting story that Pascal Randolph. Hello, Jay. Hello, Umbreon. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, TikTok family. Welcome, YouTube family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have some interesting topics that we have just covered over there in our wonderful Hoodoo community, Spiritual Roots. If you're interested in learning Hoodoo or need mentorship, you probably want to check out our program. Hello, hello, everyone. But we're going to talk about what we have covered over there so far, because again, we're breaking down the elements so our community can understand why we are using fire and water. Why are we using fire and water? What does that has to do with anything with hoodoo? And I think I touched on it on the topic a little bit the last I think it was yesterday, maybe. I talked about it a little bit. So we're going to dive a little deeper into now, especially with the Cancers, the Scorpios, and Pisces, because we're diving in the water first here. And so, uh, the main thing scientists already have discovered that water responds to sound. Okay, they've already discovered this. Our ancestors already knew this. Okay, they already knew water was alive. Real water, running water, river water. When you get to talking about river water, ocean water, sea water, these waters are alive. We were born in water. Water is our first mother. Okay? We're always trying to get close to the water. Went to the ocean here, went to the beach here. So many people, even when it was raining, folks were still in the ocean, touching the ocean, walking by the ocean, trying to swim in the ocean. Everybody around that water. Because again, we want to be close to mother. We have more. This place has 75% water on it. Don't have much land mass. That's why everybody act crazy, be fighting over land and all that kind of stuff. Okay, got a lot of water here. Okay, that's our first mother. First of all, it is a living water, and it's everywhere, especially in the women. Our bodies have more water. You look at this thing and you look at air, because I talked about yesterday, air is nothing but dry water. That's all it is. Okay? They are so closely related, water and air. You know, you take a look at it yourself. Before there was breath, before there was fire or anything, water was first. It said, what did that? You can go back to your Bible. It said God moved upon the face of the waters. Water was here first. That's the first element that was here. This just how important it is. Water was the first one here. Water is very powerful. It can nourish and it can also tear down, just like fire. We're gonna get the fire in a minute. Okay, so water was the first thing up on the earth. Water is associated with emotions, memory, intuition, and spirit. It cleanses, it restores, and it teaches. If you look at water close enough, you sit with it long enough, it'll teach you. Why do you think when you go, you know, most of us like being by the river, we like being by the water when we're trying to calm ourselves, calm our thoughts. We like being by the water. Hello, hello, T Cole. Hello, Osmosis. Hello, welcome, 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 all my TikTok viewers and family. Welcome, 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 all my YouTube viewers and family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We breaking down water right now. Why do you think you like being by that? Okay, water is a messenger. It carries our prayers to our ancestors and brings the blessings of spirit work back to us. Okay. So, and another thing too, let me go here, especially with the Scorpios. When you look at the Scorpios, because Scorpios are deeply associated with the ancestors, they can go deep. And when you talk about deep waters, you're talking about ancestral waters as well, also associated with Oya as well. You should do a live debate. No, I don't. I don't debate. Well, what are we debating here? What are we debating here? Debate has no place in spirituality. We can have a collaboration and a discussion. We can have a different opinion. There is no debate here. I like discussions and collaborations. Okay. No debate here, just a discussion. It's just discussion. If you have some insight to add, add that. Add that. Okay. So again, when we're dealing with that Scorpio energy, that deep water energy, you're dealing with the ancestors. Every time I have come in contact with my ancestors, it has been near water. Family members, I've been near water. Mother came in a dream and saw me, was in water, trips me out. Okay, they're always near water. Spirit is heavily associated with water. Okay. The water is a very important component. Every ritual, when I was going down to the mounds, I noticed that these mounds were right near the river. Our ancestors always stayed near, water, the river. And I was like, why is this here? And it says water is energy. Water is alive. It has a lot to offer you in your magic, especially when it's living, running waters. This is why we did our rituals near the river, near the water, because water is alive. Okay, it is alive. So that's why we're working with water, praying over our water, using different sorts of water, storm water, river water. All of them have their variety of purposes in helping you either cleansing or banishing something away. And these are spirits in these water. Now we go into this a lot deeper when we got start talking about the spirits that's in the water. So let's talk about kind of the spirits that's in the streams because there are spirits in the water, and we break that down over there because we can jump into it now. There are spirits in the waters, and I know a lot of you have heard about the mermaids, the sirens. You've heard about that, but then you have other spirits beyond that. I mean, these are different worlds and dimensions that we're talking about here. When we go to talking about these elements, they have their own dimension, a kingdom that they reside in. You got to remember, this is a whole brand new world, element of magic that you're tapping into, getting to know. So when you're thinking about water, water is associated with undines. Have anyone ever heard of undines? This is how the mysteries or the occult had defined them. There are nymphs, there are undines. In fact, when we jump into mermaids, mermaids can be seen not just in Africa, but throughout all cultures, even here in Thailand. I knew that voice. I found your ancestors meditation on YouTube years ago. Oh my gosh. Hey, hey, Seshet Nadia. Hello, beloved. Welcome. Okay. You can find them across all cultures. When you're looking at, for instance, let's go back to Hinduism because we found Hinduism is in conjure. We just covered that. I hope I see Masters of Potions in here because I really want to talk to him or her. But when you look at Hinduism, you look at the Nagas and you follow the history of water, because when you follow the history of water, again, you got to look at Mama Wata. Okay? You look at her, you look at that, you'll start looking at the Nagas. The Nagas are a form of what do they call it? Of those water spirits. They are related to those water spirits. They're just calling them something else. Here they're called ninjas, if I'm pronouncing it right. But you start seeing these divas, devas. Some of them are called that too. But these are water spirits. These are the spirits, the energies that reside in water. And our ancestors was very in tune and worked with a lot of these energies. They knew the power of this water. Nymphs are said to be over streams and rivers. And these spirits are here because they're guardians over the water, making sure the water stays purified, making sure it stays flowing. There's a guardian over every element. Yes, that's a guardian and a king or duke over every element. We kind of talked about that too when we talked about we went deeper with this in conjure, because in conjure we go deeper with that because we give you information on how to work with these different energies. But again, and with water, when you're working with water, and again, these spirits are so intoxicating, you have to be very careful because I'm telling you, they would reel you in. Have you ever heard? I've seen it so many times. People would be walking over that Arkansas River, and that river is big. You know you can't drink all that water like that. You know you can't. And people, I don't know what come over people. People would jump in that river and unalive themselves. It's almost breathtaking. Because I've been in awe with it, just looking at it, be like, oh my God, why is this river just drawing me in like this? But it's the spirits on the river. They're breathtaking. So again, if you're working with these energies, again, you have to be very careful because they're very luring. They're very beautiful. The presence is overwhelming. That's why they tell you about these mermaids that can reel you in because they have a very strong magnetic pull. Water is like that. It has if it's alive, it has a magnetic pull. That's why you think everybody want to go near the water. Think about that. Everybody want to be near the water, on the water, in the water. Just got out the water because that's what you in when you come here. You can't you go back out. You went back to that ocean last night. It was so many people down there at that order. Thank you, Tico. Thank you, Tina. Okay, it was so many people down there at that ocean. I said, "Oh my gosh, we just love to watch." Even when I was in Arkansas, that there in the Arkansas River, the real Nile River, honey, so many people want to be near that river. It's alive. It's alluring. Water is so alluring, and you just want to get in it. You can't just sit by it. I remember it's gonna be fun. I remember we was kids, honey. We didn't have no swimming pool, but there was a art center up there, and y'all know them little wishing wells they have in front of the building where you can, it's a fountain. It have spout water coming out of it, just really pretty. Here, honey, we started swimming in that damn thing, honey. That was just so crazy. We was crazy kids. Honey, this security guard be trying to get us out that thing. And honey be telling us, y'all don't get out of there, y'all will get hurt on the cords. We said, no, we ain't, because we swim over the things. We don't even touch them. It was just something. But anything to get some water, and that's something we want to be in that water. Okay? It's a learn. Next time you buy that water, you know, think about that. Think about how it's pulling you to it. Water is very magnetic. And these spirits are undines, these nymphs, and all of that. You have to be careful how you work with them too, because they're so enticing. Okay, I think I told you about my friend Rita. She went down to the river and she was upset. She was very upset with her family. She was done with it. She was so upset with them. She went to the river and she was down there crying. And she said she was thinking about hurting herself. By this time, she done walked halfway into the river, and she crying and crying and crying. She said all of a sudden the man. She said the water came up in the shape of a man. She said Penny was like a big giant waterfall but in the shape of a man. He said that man told me to come on in that water, that they was waiting on me. Come on, come on, come on. She said she got out that damn water so fast. You got to be careful when you're going down here near water, especially water that is alive. And I've heard rumors if you go to that river, that water, and you too much in distress and you crying like that, they'll take you home. They'll take you home because they'll figure like you too much in distress here, that they will take you home. Okay? And it's people in that river, honey. In that river, you don't really survive there. You ain't got nobody to swim across that Arkansas River and make it out alive. I ain't even seen too many people do that. It's a very mysterious river right there. It's very old, very ancient. That's an old elder. Hi, how you doing, Goddess Infusion? So again, being careful how you work with these spirits, and we go into this more detail and help how to work with these different spirits. Now, another thing too, when you start working with these spirits, because you need to understand what you're working with. And when you're working with these mermaids, consider, um, contrary to what you've been told, some of these spirits you have to make a pact with. So you don't know what you're dealing with. Some of these spirits you have to marry. So you don't understand that. Okay, so I break that all the way down when you get over there in country, let you know, look here, don't be getting over here and you ain't asked your ancestors. See, this real country right here. You go to working with some of these elements and the spirits of these elements. Okay, you got a variety of them. So water, remember, water is alive. It does respond to us. It has memory and it is a teacher. And there are spirits, dominions, um, guardians that are over the element of water. Over each element, there is a spirit over it that governs it. Okay. Now, I'm not gonna go into too much detail here, but over there in our community, we break that down, give you all the resources, and looking at this. Now, when we go into this type of magic, just a lack of a better term, eh, you going into more like a little bit of high magic. When you go beyond, if you're gonna be conjuring something like that, you're going a little bit into high magic, ceremonial magic. I'm really dropping gems on you right now, breaking this all down to you. I hope you are receiving it. Okay. So when you see them, some of them they can take the shape and form of water. They'll still be, they kind of look like sylphs. Sylphs do the same thing. They take the image. They will cover themselves in clouds to show themselves. That's the energy. That's how they show themselves. Now these energies here, again, they're still going to be water, but they'll be in the human form. Now, when you get to more of the more advanced type of species that's in the water, the guardians, the physical guardians, now you're getting into their mermaid and mermen. What did they call us? Uh, so, we just went over there. They call it Papa Watas and Mama Watas. Some of them are called Papa Watas and Mama Watas. Some are called sirens. Some are called nymphs. Some, they have gone by different names, especially when you start looking at them across the culture. Some of them are called devas. Some of them are called divas. Some are called nygenists. I think I'm pronouncing it right, in Asia, or nagas. I think that's the way you pronounce it. But they are called different things, and these are true elemental spirits that are connected to water. Okay, we're gonna break it all the way down here. And some of them, if you're gonna be working with them, you have to make they're gonna work with you. And if you gonna come over here working with these type of energies and guardians over these type of elements, usually you're gonna have to pay them. These are different energies now. And water is one you have to be very careful with because it's intoxicating. It's magnetic. It is intoxicating. It's a very alluring. Beautiful beings, captivating. So again, be careful with working with those energies. If you're going to be working with those energies, be careful with them. And we do go into um, detail of how to go into the astral realm and contact these energies. We break that all down in our conjure thing. Because the material that I give you, if you do it, it's gonna work. Okay? And we break that all down how you can go into the astral realm and contact these these energies, these deities. Again, and you can just keep it light or learn just to work with water itself, talking to your water. Now you know the importance of water in your voice. Now you know that it is responding to you. So now you understand why it's important for you to slow down and talk to your water and talk to your elements. Okay, you need to stop picking stuff up and not being mindless about it. You're actually putting effort and bringing your magic to life because you understand all the tools in here are alive. Water is alive. I remember when I first started doing some of my rituals and things on my shadow work, I was going down to the river a lot getting river water. Ancestors said, go get that river water because you're going to need that river water. They try to get me to get in the river. I said, I'm not getting in the river. I'm not doing that. They said, we're going to get the river water. And hell, that ain't the same river y'all had. This is a different river. We got a different river what y'all had. So I had to go get the river water, and I had to bathe in the river water. You'll find yourself having to work with these different energies. Okay? That's why we use it. Your ancestors may want you to work with river water. They may want you to work with sea water, ocean water, rain water, storm water. It will come up. All of them have their different energies and benefits. That's why spiritual baths are so important too. That's why it's so important for you to be in there talking to that water, praying over that water, programming that water because it's just like a crystal. Water is programmed, it's responsive. A crystal is nothing but solid water, a clear cluster. I'm just gonna keep it simple for you. So again, talking to that water, telling that water what you need what you're trying to get done, calling it upon the spirits of that water, because the water is alive. It is responding to you. Okay. Our ancestors always they knew the power of water. Very smart people. Very smart people. Okay. Now when you get into water, I don't ever not too many people is using too much lake water or pond water because still waters ain't nothing in it. It ain't moving. Now you only gonna be using that if you trying to jack somebody up. Cause still water, you can't do nothing with that. It's standing still, it's stagnant. You can't do nothing but slow somebody down with some lake water or some pond water. Cause it ain't going nowhere. It's just sitting there. Okay. I'm dropping dimes on you. And I think too, again, this is important for you to know. So when you get ready to approach your work, you know exactly what these waters mean and what spirits are associated with this water. You understand the power of the water now. We go into more detail over there, giving you more resources to look at to help you understand it. I'm just giving you a general discussion right now. But yeah, okay. So now now you know when you go to your altar, what kind of if your ancestors telling you to use some water, you know what the water is for and what it do. You ain't just picking up some because the goal is to stop following people and follow your ancestors. You gonna get tired of me saying that, and I don't really care. Okay. Cause that's the head of this thing. The goal is stop, don't follow nobody. Cause if you understanding these concepts, cause this is the wisdom that your ancestors have. You understand these concepts, you're gonna be able to work your magic and not really have to follow nobody and follow your ancestors. Okay, at some point you have to sit down and read and understand um, the concepts, the spiritual concepts of hoodoo, the science behind hoodoo. I don't care what nobody telling me you can't learn no book. You better be sitting down learning the book and somebody teaching you doing something blind and don't know why you doing it. They have already written in your look. Our ancestors wrote it down. Okay, it wrote it down like a sign. It started in ancient Kemet. We already mastered metaphysical science. We have already mastered how to use this invisible energy, this unseen energy around us. We already knew how to do this. We already knew how to work with the elements. So don't let nobody fool you talking about you can't find the book. You absolutely can. I just go back to this one of our ancestors that Masters of Potions was telling me about. What's his name? And I didn't even know heritage this guy. I feel like I'm like, how did I miss him? Out of all the people, how can I miss what his name's Pascal uh Reynolds? Is that his name? Let me go back over here. Yeah, Randolph. Pascal Randolph, which is very interesting. He's very smart. Again, one of our ancestors. Really, he get root work recognition because that's I found him on the root work website, and I was looking at his life, and this man here, he was passing. He was passe. Yeah, I was like, wow. Because I was like, maybe that's why I missed him because he didn't look like me. He looks passing. Okay, and he perfected. They wouldn't let him into any. I just hate when we go into these lodges. Why? Seemed like we just wanted to go into them Freemasons lodges. They wouldn't let him in the Freemasons lodge. Later on in the 19th century, they allowed him. I think he became a Rosicrucian, a member of the Rosicrucian or that lodge, and he perfected sex magic. He went in there, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Never read about him, but of course, I've never went down that and studied that sort of magic before. I just never was interested in that. You know, never was interested in it. But now reading about that, it just makes me want to look at that and see what he came up with. Because again, he perfected it. Very interesting icon, hoodoo icon, root work icon. But again, I think it was a race. I think it was a waste because that kind of knowledge should have been in our community and not in a lodge. You see how I told you how I just, and that's kind of proved my point. How I told you the Freemasons came in and messed that church up with that. And Hoodoo was already in the church, and then the Freemasons came in there. It kind of like proves my point when I look at this ancestor. When I look at him, it began, but he was passing. And he visited a lot of countries, and he learned a a lot of different occult mystery uh techniques when it comes to magic. He learned a lot of that. But again, again still in those lodges like that. That kind of prove kind of now I can connect the dots with that because like the ancestors told me, Hoodoo was in the church until the Freemasons put it out of there. That kind of like put proves my point. Okay. Hello, rah rah. Hello, TikTok family. Hello, YouTube family. Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome. I hope you are getting something out of this discussion. But again, our ancestors already knew the power of these things. And like when we go over a lot of these materials and talk about the elements, most of them have to go to shamanism because shamanism, no, it didn't start in Siberia. Shamanism is a very old, basic thing. It's the oldest root worker, uh, the oldest form of root work, oldest form of conjure is shamanism. A lot of them they're gonna go back to that because that's what our ancestors did. That's what our great mothers did. A lot of women were shamans. They started off that way and they passed on a lot of this they call now they have reformed it into occult knowledge and all this other stuff. But it all comes from there. We break all that down. But they were very aware of these spirits. Buffalo spirits, water spirits, they were very aware of these. And they again recognized these energies in their daily life. They talked about some of these fairies. They talked about some of these spirits that are associated with some of these elements. My mom even told me a story about a fairies. To her, she was petrified when she first seen them. But they do exist. These things really do exist. But if you spend enough time in nature, you will start to notice this. If you sit down somewhere and be quiet and just sit in nature. See, a lot of us like to be around people too much. You don't need, I don't get to the point now. I don't really need people. I just want to be with the trees and the water and stuff like that. That's enough company for me. That's enough stimulation for me. I did, get to that point. I don't want to hear you because, again, I just feel like some humans too, it, you ain't going to just be. Some of you just ain't going to be. You're going to be trying to be somebody else. I can be with the water because the water just going to be water. I can be uh, with the tree because the tree just gonna be a tree. They ain't trying to be nobody else but a tree. They just gonna be. A lot of us don't know how to just be. Okay, so just powerful. Just this is some powerful work right here. When you again start dealing with water. I don't know about you, but like I said, every time I have worked with ancestors that rolled up on me, it has always been with water. Didn't understand it at first, you know, and then I started reading further where in some cultures that the ancestors are associated with water. Okay. And that Scorpio energy also is really tied to water. So in another thing I want to shift gears into looking at this from an astrological perspective, if you are a Cancer, if you are a Scorpio, if you are a Pisces, or if you have some heavy water placements, you probably want to consider working with water. Water is a very powerful energy. Okay, somebody says Scorpio stellium. Okay, you probably want to consider working with that water, talking to that water. Okay, especially when it comes to spiritual baths and things like that. You probably maybe your magic is in the water. You won't know until you start working with water. Because a lot of us come in here with these gifts and we have a particular sort of magic. That's just like some people I've seen on here, especially on TikTok, they don't work with candles. I've seen people just work with jars here. They got stuff in jars. They got oils and stuff in jars. Your magic might be where you just work with water in jars. You know how to work some water. You you know, and your magic may just be that simple. A lot of people think that you have to be have something extravagant to work your magic. I've seen people work simple magic with salt and pepper, with just water. Powerful magic because the intention was there and they had already had a relationship with the element. That's the key here. That's the key to working successful hoodoo is having a relationship with these elements. Because again, you have these spirits working for you. That's just like that water. If I put ancestors water on my ancestor altar, I already start praying the psalms over that water. I'm already praying that the spirits and that water don't have no bubbles in it. But by the time I get through praying and talking to my ancestors, that water is looking like I poured Sprite. There's bubbles all through it. That's how it should be looking. Okay, because them spirits are present. I know then, okay, them spirits are present. Okay, the ancestors are there. They heard me. Again, I'm already invoking and bring that water to life before I even put it on the altar. I'm already calling in good energy. I'm already opening a way, a portal, so my ancestors can come through. Okay, you can do some power with it don't take nothing complicated. Honey, your ancestors probably teach you how to work that water, baby. And you probably can do some stuff with that water. I'm telling you now. I've seen people do it. It be something so simple. You seeing people do all this glitter and all this stuff and they doing all this stuff. I'm telling you. Our ancestors did some mighty stuff with just some paper and a pencil or just some water. And here you is thinking to take all that and it don't. Because they knew the energy and they had a relationship with these spirits. Okay. So you sit with water long enough, talk to the water. Just like I told you the other day, sit with your plants, talk to your plants, because that's the power, that's the magic in it. Because you getting these spirits, these are your spiritual allies. Okay. These are your spiritual allies. So again, talking to that water. And if it's in your chart, again, you probably want to be working with that Pisces, that Scorpio energy. You probably want to be working with the mermaid energy. You probably want to be working with that nymph energy. Again, probably want to be working with water. Again, it's a big uh clue to where your magic is at. Yeah, less is more. Yes, I was stuck on fire so much it makes me switch up elements. Yeah, you can, and I was just going to get into fire. You have to be. You can't spend too much time with these elements. The thing is about balance. Because if you spend too much time in water, you're gonna be loopy. You're gonna be dreamy. You're gonna see a lot of illusions. That's what water does. If you spend too much time in it, that's why it's called balance. If you spend too much time working with water or you going into that astral realm working with those spirits, you are going to be loopy. You're going to be you're not going to be grounded. So again, really watching how much time you spend with these energies because they do have an effect on you consciously. Emotionally, you might be overly emotional, may have poor emotional regulation if you're going to be working with water too much. Or working going into that realm. I say more of working it to the realm because the more astral contact, the longer you're in there, the more likely it is to affect you. Okay, so you have to worry about, how much time you're spending in that realm with them. Hello, hello, unshackle emotions. So you have to be careful. Okay, even too, because we don't just talk about the spirits. We talk about these these other guardian spirits that's over these elements. You can also work with them. And we break that all the way down. I don't want to go too far because a lot of y'all think y'all conjuring, but you ain't conjuring until you start working with the dominions over these elements. And these are big steppers, these big stepper spirits. You want to have your stuff together and really have your ancestral veneration together before you start calling on these type of spirits. That's a fact. I be changing up and now I use air lately. I'm Aquarius moon. Water had overwhelmed at first. I like how much you teach. Thank you, Tay Taylor. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, welcome to everybody on TikTok. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone on my YouTube family. So again, you got to be careful what you're doing when you're calling on these energies. This ain't no plaything. You're gonna be dealing with spirits. That's why I say you get over here. Who do you think you ain't working with spirit? You done lost your mind. If you scared of spirits, don't get over here because that's what you're gonna be working with. And you need to understand you ain't nothing but a spirit. So if you think that you something else, you don't probably don't want to jump over here because that's what we dealing with. We're dealing with nothing but energy, spirit, you know, Ka, Ashe, whatever you want to call it. But that's what we dealing with over here. And some people are, you're using your bowls too with water in it to manifest money, making these bowls. Uh just a good way again to work with water because water also is a currency. It's the first currency. That's why you have it's called current. So that's a good way to work with abundance too. And they will tell you when you work with a lot of these water spirits, they are good for bringing in abundance. Because again, they're the first currency, so they're good for bringing in wealth. But again, you have to go back and look at when these people are talking about. It's very interesting, and I don't know what I'm saying here. I'm just only repeating what I've heard some of the people say in Ifa or Shay when it comes to the Orisha. So when I hear them say that, because they talk about initiation and the things that they say, because I really did, I already know the deal with initiation. It's all of the ancestors. 'Cause if the ancestors had them pull up on you, they're gonna pull up on you. So I'm done with that. But anyway, when they're making this connection, they are talking about. To me, it sounds more like a pact or a marriage. The initiation sounds like more like a pact or a marriage. That's what it sounds like to me. And I go into this a lot more, which we're going to get ready to cut probably next month. We're going to go into this a lot more in conjure because I'm reading the materials now on this. So, but our conjure members will probably get this next month because it depends on how far you want to go with this thing. Because I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you, but I'm also gonna say follow your ancestors. Just because it's there don't mean you just go do it. I'm always gonna tell you, don't be doing stuff if you ain't got your ancestral veneration together. You don't even know I talk to your ancestors. Why are you gonna talk to another spirit? It don't make sense. And I see people do this. You want to reach out to Oshun. You want to reach out to all of this is ancestral based. You ain't even supposed to be talking to them if you ain't got your ancestral veneration together. You don't even know how to talk to a spirit. That's your first form of mediumship of learning how to talk to a spirit is your ancestors. Why would you go out there trying to talk to them other spirits that don't even know how to talk to your folks. Don't make no sense to me. I don't know why folks do that. Just find that very disrespectful. Knowing your folks can help you, probably know them. They can help you. It's the same social kind of thing they got. It's the same thing you would do here because it's a relationship. Your ancestors know folks in that spirit realm. They know the spirit realm, not you. You don't know that. You don't know that. You getting to know that through your ancestors. Okay. So again, you want to go through your ancestors first. Always before you do anything. I'm gonna put that in your face. You can get mad at me, but that's what this all about. Okay? Because if you don't go, you don't do it right, you gonna get scared because you crossing yourself up because you ain't doing it right. You mess yourself up when you do that. Okay? It's the right way to do it because it's ancestral. But the way I hear them describe these rituals, it sounds like a pact. It sounds like a marriage. That's what it sounds like. And then I was just like, okay, now I understand what they're saying here. And hoodoo is a different approach. We do a whole different approach of how we approach spirits. They're doing that's more of ceremonial, a ceremonial act that they have going on there. We have a whole different approach when we approach spirits. When we conjure, we take a different approach. And I had to let that be known in our conjure class. We don't command anything. You don't demand or command anything, and you'll see that a lot go on with magicians and the occult. They came chanting another languages, and they was laughing. I was sacred. I was scared the first of them. So they actually picked me up cause I did Earth yesterday. Unshackle emotions. I just caught the last end of that conversation. Norfolk mermaid is moon water. A tool. Yes, it is a tool in hoodoo. Yes, you can use moon water. You absolutely can. Love working with moon water. Yes, you can go even further with that and see what planets are conjuncting at that time to see can it amplify your intentions with your moon water. But I just went nerdy right there. Okay, but yeah, you can do moon water. A moonstone is a way you can connect with water as well. They're associated with water. Okay, you got herbs that are associated with water as well. You can connect with herbs that way. You have burdock. Burdock is associated with water. You have catnip. Catnip is associated with water. Comfrey and the tree cypress trees that grows in the swamps, they are connected with water spirits as well, or with the energy of water. The balm of Gilead, the rose of Jericho, all connected with water. Okay, this is a way that you can connect with the element of water if you want to work with that. It is because there's some people that have whole altars to just elements. They work with they'll work with just the element of water. They have a altar set up with all things symbolizing water because they're working with that element. They're working with that realm. You have some people that do that. Okay, depends on how you want to go with this thing. And yeah, like I said, when you follow your ancestors, there ain't no limit. I know what they telling you. There ain't no limit here, honey. I done seen it with my own eyes. There ain't no limit to what your ancestors can teach you. And see, they got you thinking ancestors is just your family. Oh, honey, no, baby. You start following ancestors, you're gonna run into the Orishas, you're gonna run into some saints. You be like, golly, y'all just everywhere. Oh, baby, it's just not limited to that. Okay. Do you know any herbs connected with earth? Uh, I can't think of. I would think. Is this how I want to answer this question? I would think all herbs would be connected with earth since they grow here on earth. There won't be like a specific herb tied with earth because again they're growing from earth. So earth signs will be able to work with any herb because they're all coming again, they growing from earth. Did that make sense to you? That's why you guys will be good at planting. That's why you're good at creating luxury. You're already connected with the earth already in your star sign. And then when you start working with these energies, again, you build on that connection. So again, you earth sign should be able to really work with anything because again, they're the earth sign. They should be able to work with any plant depending on, um, if they have any heavy placements in their chart, but I would think that it just makes spiritual sense to me. I don't know. That's how I'm looking at that. Let's see, waters and stones. So again, when it comes to connecting connecting with water, when it looking at herbs, I've told you some herbs that you can get that help you connect with that energy. If you're especially if you're trying to work with feminine energy, something like that, then those probably the herbs you probably want to consider working with. Okay, I hope it made sense. It made sense to me in my metaphysical mind, looking at that from a metaphysical perspective. Uh, yeah, seem like they would be able to work with any herb since they're if you're earth sign. I think that's why I didn't go over that the other day because that would be again earth signs. Again, you come from earth. You are manifestors when it comes to this 3D reality. Okay, especially if you're working with the earth and you know how to work with. I dropped a whole bunch of gems in that video yesterday. So if y'all didn't see that video, go watch that video. I was dropping some in there. If you caught them clues that I was dropping in there, then you left away with something. I am a Cancer and I love water, use water, white candles, and incense on my altar. I think another good thing too, if you love water like that, Bavitas would be perfect for the water signs, especially if you're doing ancestors work. So novenas and Bavitas, I think those would be just great for water signs. Working with water like that. That's just my opinion. I think you guys would be great at using water to scry and maybe a mirror. We even talk about how to make your own mirror over there, your astral mirrors. But yeah, I think that you guys would be good at that using water to scry uh, and things like that. Working with water. I'm paying 8 grand to the first 5 people to message me bless. Wow. Okay then. All right. So again, you have the opportunity to look at this from a different perspective, depending on what kind of me, I have a whole bunch of Scorpio, which tripped me out. I have a whole bunch of Scorpios placements in my chart. It tripped me out. I got the Capricorn there, but the Scorpio, I was just like, what the hell? And then it made so much sense to me, um, how deeply I feel things and how deeply I understand things. And I was like, okay, now this kind of made sense why my mind the way it is. Yeah, it just tripped me out because I was like, I didn't pay attention to it first till I saw it. Okay. What to do when you have all the water signs in your chat? Hi, Royal Goddess. Hey, I hope y'all taking away some gems here and understanding the power that you have being connected with these other energy, this mermaid energy, the undines, very magnetic energy, using that water again to allure and attract because it's already in your chart. So again, connecting with that water in a way where it can work in your magic. especially if you have some heavy water placements in your chart or you're a water sign. Again, you need to be working with the element. And that's one thing we do too over there. Every time you get over there, I try to get you to working with because you got different archangels too that's over different elements. I try to get you to working with the archangel of your fire of your sun sign when you get over there. Okay, I try to get you to already start doing rituals and things with that to already start opening you a way up to communicate. You said, what? Again, I'm telling you what to do right now. I hope you're listening. Okay, so if you have that in there, water is alluring. Water is, especially if you have a lot of Scorpio placements, and that's probably why I'm so I have this affinity for the ancestors. I have a deep affinity for the ancestors. Now it kind of makes sense. Now I'm sitting up here talking about it, Lord. Now it makes sense. Now I'm talking about it. But again, you're probably going to work really be a good medium when it comes to the ancestors or ancestral communication. But you're just going to have to allow yourself to go deep in your meditations and go allow yourself to do that. If you're a Scorpio, it shouldn't be so hard. It wouldn't shouldn't be so hard, especially if you got some Scorpio placements. I am a Pisces. I never thought to work with water. I'm a Cappy, Gemini, a Scorpio. Okay, depending on where you're at, where they're at. See, I have to look at that closer because there's so many variables to that. Um, Depends on where they are. Again, this is how you connect with water. But at some point, whether it don't matter what zodiac you are, you're gonna have to connect with water because that's the mama. Water is the mama. Okay, she's the first element in the bunch. She is mentioned first. Ain't no fire mentioned first. Ain't no uh uh earth mentioned first in that Bible. Water is mentioned first. She is the first mentioned. Okay, so at some point you're gonna have to connect with water. That's why your butt get taking them spiritual baths and stuff, because you're gonna need her to cleanse you, purify you, and rebirth you. You need that. And see, I'm just giving you enough again, uh, helping you understand the sacredness of this water and the power behind it. Yep, water is always first. It's first thing you come in when you come in this world. You're gonna be in some water. Okay, you come out your mama womb, you was in some water. Okay, and then it really doesn't surprise me that we have this connection with undines, nymphs, and mermaids because hell, that's what we look like when we're fetus. We look like a tadpole or a fish or something. Don't it makes sense to me why them things would be our ancestors? I'm just saying. It makes sense to me why they would be pulling up on us. Cause that's how we look when we in the womb. We look like a tadpole or a mermaid or something. We a fetus. We look just like them things before we come human. So somewhere in our evolution, we must have been those things. We must have been a mermaid. We must have been one of those things somewhere in our evolution. I'm just saying, you guys. We go through the metamorphosis, anthro metamorphosis changes in this belly, and you before we even look like what we supposed to look like, we looking like some fish or something, a tadpole. So somewhere in our evolution, we got to have some type of kinship with the mermaids, with the nymphs and the divas. Got to be in there somewhere because we look just like them. I'm just putting it, I'm just looking at it. I'm looking at the doctrines of signature here, which our ancestors would be looking at. I'm looking at all the similarities that we do have with some of these beings. Okay, so that's something you can think about it and think at it from that perspective as well. Now, I want to shift gears here, and I hope I've given you enough knowledge, on that water to where you look at that water now with broader eyes now. You working with some magic. I can't wait till a lot of you wake up one day and you see hoodoo everywhere. You can't get away from it. Everything just gonna be magical. It trip you out. It's like seeing for the first time. That's how it worked for me. Uh, Seeing the world, the real world from the first time and not through the matrix. It's like waking up the first time seeing, everything is actually alive. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe it's just my nerdy, quirky mind. Now, what I want to talk about is fire is just as powerful uh as water. And boy, they can be mighty together. Okay, but fire is a very mysterious thing working with these elements. Now, when you go to looking at these fire spirits, again, because you're working with a candle, you lighting that candle up, and you're working with that candle because that's how most of us working with fire. We either working through incense or we working through a candle or some type of lamp of light. Okay, so again, you're working with fire. Fire is it can be very powerful. It can bring again, it can nurture your life or it can destroy your life. Okay, it can light your way. You know what I'm saying? Or blow your way up. Okay, okay. Fire is all about passion. Um, it's all about change. It's all about drive, perseverance, manifestation. Like I said, it can destroy as well. Now let's talk about these spirits that's associated with fire. Yep, incense is a form of air magic as well. Sure is. We just covered incense over there, how to work with incense, how to use chants, how to use chants and incense, words of power in incense, beautiful and resources for people that are air signs. We just covered. I think we covered that last month. I think we covered it last month. Okay. Like we cover everything over there. You ain't gonna be lost over there, honey. You gonna know how to do your stuff. You ain't gonna be listening to nobody. You gonna be listening to your ancestors. Okay, we could cover everything. We don't leave no stone unturned. Somebody couldn't access a animism book. I think it was the animism book. One of the books they couldn't access. And they emailed me. It was like, Miss Penny, I can't open this book. Can you please send me a link? And that's one thing about it. You may not see me, you may not think I'm there, but I'm always there watching. I'm gonna respond. I'm there. Just because you don't hear me or see me, don't mean I'm not there. I am there. She said, "Oh my God, Miss Penny, you responded so fast. I wasn't expecting it." Oh yeah, expect it. If I'm sitting there looking at my phone or I'm on this computer, expect a response very soon. I really like, and I don't like when you have to wait a day and I don't get the message till a day or so later. I try to go ahead and respond. Mermaids got gift of the tongues to chant things into existence. I practice this. See, again, that is another energy. Again, that comes, another gift that comes with working with that sort of mermaid energy. Again, but when I tell people this stuff, especially when you're going to start working with again these beings, because that's conjure now. What is the payment? Because you got to pay them. What is the service fee? Okay, don't go there with that. You can't do them, especially if you can't keep that ancestors altar consistent with fresh water and flowers and stuff like that. How you gonna do that with another deity? Again, uh, don't put the cart before the horse. Okay? I always say that because you get some people over here conjuring and they be doing stuff and messing themselves up. I'm just saying. And I got people in my conjuring membership, and they may be long time practitioners. I still put out these safeguards for you because I don't want you to get, this ain't the place over here to be getting cocky. Okay. Now, when we look at these spirits of fire, again, we're looking at salamanders. We're looking at some cultures, they call them jinn. And all jinn ain't the same. You got good jinn and bad jinn. But some of these elements, this is what they were called. Okay? And these are the spirits that govern fire. They're called salamanders. They are called jinns. You'll have them being called different things across different cultures, but it remains the same that they are fire spirits. Now, when you're working with the element of fire, because again, that is a king over that. That is a element of fire. A king has dominion over these elements. He control all these elemental spirits. It's within this realm. Again, we teach you how to, work with this element as well, the king of this element, because all of them have a king of an element. They all have, it's a hierarchy to them. That's basically what I'm saying. In the elemental kingdom, there is a hierarchy in the elemental kingdom that rules them. Just like you have an angel of the day and all that, you'll find that in magic. Now, a lot of people want to call it natural magic, nature magic. Yeah, you can call it that if you want to, but you can go as deep as you want to. Like you got a variety of spirits to work with when you get over here and conjure. Like it ain't no limits to this. And whoever telling you that, I don't know why they would be saying that, because we got too many ancestors that understood this knowledge. They understood the mysteries behind this. So you know, ain't no limits to this. How you think they was able to do what they was doing, putting snakes in people's stomachs and got lizards crawling out people's legs and jacking folks up the way they was. You think them folks didn't have? Come on now. They already let you know ain't no limits to it. My house burned down when I was a little. I had to jump out the window. I'm sorry to hear I was working with water and fire. Powerful, those are powerful energies to be working with. Putting those together like that. You have to be careful. Now, when you're dealing with this fire energy, the tendency with these, with a lot of occultists and magicians have said, you have to. They can show you a lot of stuff very fast about manifestation work, but if you're not careful, if you work with fire too much, it will start messing with your temperament. You'll start having high blood pressure, getting all these other, kind of issues going on. You'll be quick to anger. So you have to be very careful how much time you're spending with these fire spirits and how much contact you're having with them. Okay. So you got to be very good, but they have a lot to offer you that can teach you a lot. Okay. They can teach you how to initiate things, how to keep things going, how to persevere, because that's what fire does. It can teach you the art of war too, teach you how to destroy your energy, your enemies. This is the power of fire. These are the elements of fire. These are the spirits of fire. So I'm breaking it on down with you. So you think you just working with some fire? Oh hell no, no you ain't. Since you working with a whole spirit over there. You working with all them spirits that's in that fire. Watch that fire, that flame long enough. That flame is an extension of a salamander. Those are spirits. I don't care what they told you. I'm telling you what it is. Okay. So that's what that is. Those are spirits that govern that energy They are called salamanders. Some of them are called jinn. The jinn was so, you have some jinn that were destructful. They were very uh, destructive, and they were banned out of some civilizations. And you have some jinn, yeah, you have some jinn that they were not like that. I think Islam has a very extensive uh they have a very extensive of stories about the jinn over there, because those were the fire spirits, those elemental spirits they came in contact with. Okay. And I- I- and I kind of see jinn too getting put into the goetia, the goetic spirits. You get you now I'm being nerdy. I'm going nerdy now with you guys, so excuse me. But you have, for lack of a better term, the way the European occultists start categorizing some of these spirits and energies, and to me, it's kind of demeaning to put them in a goetic category. So you have some of them going uh, in a goetic category, and some of them I don't think they deserve to be there. Just like Norfolk Mermaid said, I think they're misunderstood because they got because when we go into the conjure, we got to go look at these goetic spirits, and we got Papa Legba, we got other spirits that's been categorized like that that don't even belong over there. That's why we have to have discussions and collaborations over there. When we start looking over this, because I have to have you look at these materials, and let you know what it is, and know these folks is up here lying because they don't understand this, because this is ancestral. They don't understand this is ancestral. You may not be able to work with Papa Leg because he ain't your ancestor. You ain't got any ancestors connected with him. But then you come over here and start working hoodoo, and you might have Papa Leg start pulling up on you. You might have some of these African deities start pulling up on you. I can't tell you that they ain't gonna do it because that's in your bloodline. I'd be lying if I said that they weren't gonna do it, because that might be in your bloodline. Okay, that's why we look at everything. We have collaborations and discussions and lectures. There is no limits on hoodoo. We're trying to put a cap on there. They're trying to make hoodoo a religion, and it's not. I'm just telling you. It's just grows, grows, grows. Books of herbs and earth elements can be found in the book Encyclopedia. I don't know if we have that up there, but I think I posted it on our platform, but I'm not sure. I didn't post so much stuff because I done talked about some things 2 or 3 times. Marry me, goddess. You are correct at the same time that there are specific herbs for all the elements and planets also have their own planet. I just went over that, Carissa. I just went over that, baby. I just went over that. We just went over the water, the herbs that is associated with water. You got herbs that are associated with fire, like cayenne pepper or cinnamon. Those are associated with fire. Okay. Now you don't have to remember all this, but that might be important if you trying to craft some type of conjure oil, or you trying to craft some type of working. Maybe this gonna make gonna come in helpful to you, knowing what type of herbs that represent the different elements. I was going on another delay. My apologies. I have to replay. That's okay, baby. Okay, so and yeah, there are herbs that's associated with different planets as well. We talk about that when we talk about working with the archangels and doing planetary magic. Because when I'm recommended you work with a certain angel that's over a different planet, I'm kind of getting you familiar with working planetary magic. Because again, getting you in universal alignment. They're gonna help you get in alignment. You can watch it on replay on YouTube, Diamond Goddess. You'll be able to watch it. Archangel Michael is associated with the sun. If you got something to do, like if you got some work to do on a Sunday, especially some protection work, okay, or you trying to start a new job, You want to work with the Archangel Michael. He's good for helping you with your life purpose. You're starting a new job, good or protection. You probably want to work with him Sunday. He even have an hour, certain hour he comes on Sunday. But he's over that. I thought about starting one. I'm not sure if I'm gonna start one. No, I don't have one. I have a Patreon Hoodoo community over there, Carissa. Okay. So you have to be careful too when you're working with these elements and you don't know the power of it. You think you just lighting the candle and all that. No, you working with whole spirits. That's why you supposed to be talking to the spirit in that candle. That's why you supposed to be talking to that water, praying over that water. And if you can see this in with your spiritual eyes, with your third eye, because I in my mind, I see all these elements in my third eye mind. When I look at my altar, I look at all these elements dancing together to manifest my magic. I can see it through my third eye. I can see these spirits working together, again, forming my magic. That's what's happening on there. So I want to break it down to you. You ain't just lighting stuff up and walking away. Okay, you might have to do it 3 or 4, 5 days in a row. Sometimes it calls for that. A lot of people say, "Oh, hoodoo is magic," but you're gonna hear me say this again. Really, is it? It is a science. Once you understand the spirits, you understand spiritual science. You understand this. You start getting results. We got too many people over there now, and I'm just gonna break it all the way down to you in simple form. And start you out from a solid foundation with your ancestors. That's where you need to be first. All this will come in all together because you're gonna be reaching for all this stuff to heal yourself. You're gonna be doing anything, it need to be on you first to fix your life, fix you. Okay, 7-day candles. Yeah, you might have to do that in a row. You might, I have people. You have practitioners that have to do, even myself have to do, if I'm doing work, I got to do this bath 3 days in a row. I might be working with water. Ancestors might have me working with water. Again, I'm still working with again the element and the spirit of water. They might have me just working with fire. I need or just air. Well, I need to be sitting there doing that conjure, opening my mouth, lighting them incense, and over that candle praying. They might have me just doing that. But you're gonna work over here, you're gonna be working with these elements over here. And see, you don't know why you're saying these things. You don't know how it's really working. Some of you. We help you understand over there how this is all working together. Why this is so important. Why you're doing the things you're doing. Why you have these tools. Why is the water there? Why is the dirt there? Where's the candle there? Where's the fire there? We're gonna let you know. The candles started burning out really fast. The regular ones, tea candles, last 10 minutes burn clean. That's suspicious right there. You don't like a too much of a fast burn. Okay. So again, when you're working with these energies, you're working with the fire, you're working with these nature spirits. And just like over you have a hierarchy and stuff in the spiritual realm when it comes to angel, you have the same thing in the elemental kingdoms as well. And they are very powerful spirits. Fire spirits work fast. That's just like I'm gonna use the lowest that's petrol. You see in voodoo, they have the petrol spirits. These are fire spirits. Okay? You want to get over there. If you're not an experienced practitioner, you don't want to be invoking a petrol. They'll tell you over there voodoo, these are hot spirits. They work fast too. They get it done. Okay? And you have to be a certain type of you have to have the certain type of temperament if you're going to be working with these sort of laws because they are associated with fire spirits. Okay, and so when you work with fire, fire tends to manifest a lot faster. Air can too. Air and fire will manifest. It's like a certain appearance. Abundant water is gonna flow in. It's gonna do a flow in. You working with water. Earth is gonna accumulate. It's gonna build. It's gonna manifest, but it might have to grow. It's gonna have to grow. Understanding how these energies manifest. Am I making sense to y'all? So you can understand when you're working with these energies and how uh they work with your magic or work with your intentions. Am I making sense? Okay. So fire is gonna again because their fires are initiators. Fire signs they are good for road opening work, blockbuster work. They're gonna be good in that type of work. Okay. Water signs are probably gonna be good at love work, healing work. Okay. So again, knowing your signs, knowing these elements, and knowing how candy yams. How do you start someone off? Is it through the Patreon, which tier? I would recommend if you're beginning or whatever. I do recommend a ritual if you're beginning. But if you're a big dog and you want to conjure and your ancestors' veneration is together and you did your shadow work, you can jump over there and conjure. But if you want to take it slow, I do recommend ritual. Love that. I'm a water sign tonight. I went out in the rain for healing. I know that's right. We walked in the rain last night. I said we needed that little rain. We was down there on the ocean and it started to rain. And so we walked back home. I said I needed that little cleanser. Okay. So water is gonna be that initiator. I'm sorry, fire is gonna be the initiator. It gets things started. Most people that are fire signs or have heavy fire sign placements probably gonna be work good with fire, especially when it comes to um road opening work or blockbuster work or things like that. Okay. So you probably want to consider that or talk to your ancestors about that. But again, I can give you more insight if I can look into your chart and cuz I do those charts too, you guys. I do a hoodoo spiritual blueprint chart where I break down your whole chart from the hoodoo perspective and let you know what root work and all that stuff that you need to be focusing on to get yourself in alignment with your work. And those are $15. Anyone that is interested in that, you can DM me and I'm gonna put my thing right here. Cause that's the first thing I'm gonna start you off on is I'm gonna look in that chart. And we kind of talked about that when we talked about Vedic astrology, which we're gonna talk about that again, you guys. Saturday, I'm going live with one of the followers here, and they want to talk more about Vedic astrology and what else she said she want to talk about? Vedic astrology and Nagas, I think they said they want to talk about. They had some insight that they wanted to share there. So you'll get another interesting topic about Hinduism. Hinduism and Vedic astrology. 'Cause Hinduism is strongly in conjure. It tripped me out when I seen that, and a lot of people are not talking about that. But this is what happens when it comes to conjure. Um, you're gonna see all types of things in hoodoo. You just do. I know people are just sticking you with this Bible. That's why I have to keep coming here and telling you that hoodoo is not Christian. You can stop it with that because it's so much bigger than that. Our ancestors were studying the sixth, seventh, eighth book of Moses. They were studying Solomonic magic. They were studying Jewish mysticism and the Kabbalah. They were studying some of the Kemetic sciences. They were studying Hinduism. Okay, they were studying ceremonial magic. They were studying elemental magic. They were studying this. Okay, you look at Moses. Moses was doing elemental magic. The man was working with water. He was using water magic. Okay, he was very familiar with those spirits. He was using air magic. You said this cloud of fire was following him, following the Israelites. The man that was talking to a burning bush. So the man was working with fire magic. Okay? I'm just gonna you just go on and on. The man was a conjure man. So you just stop it. Y'all calling it something else, a prophet. The man was a conjurer. Y'all just calling this stuff by different name. The man was a wizard, whatever you want to call it. Okay, them folks was, you can call them prophets and all that, try to make it Christian style. But I'm gonna tell you, these folks was country folks, and they was root folks. They were root workers. That's how our ancestors look at it. And you can call them whatever you want to call them. You trying to put these fancy names on there and Christianize them. These folks is root working conjurers. Moses is conjuring up, Solomon sitting up here conjuring up these spirits to build this temple. And you just stop it. Them folks was conjuring. What you call that? He conjured up. They said that man used conjured up demons to build God temple. Didn't make no sense to me. I said, why would you use the demons to build God temple when you can conjure up the angels to do it? Didn't make no sense. That man got a whole book of how to work with all these goetic spirits. Okay, and you can just stop it with that. Y'all trying to call that something else. These folks was conjuring and root workers. And that's what y'all doing when y'all open up y'all mouth and start calling on Jesus. You sit up here conjuring and stuff. That's what you doing. So you can just stop it with that. Okay? They can just stop it. That's why when they call folks' names, say you a witch, and then you one too. Because you doing witchcraft too. And you calling it another name. You doing magic right there in our face and calling it another name. Okay? Y'all can just stop it. You know them folks was country folks and root workers. They sitting up here working with herbs and oils and conjure oil, anointing each other and stuff, and looking for herbs and rue and hyssop and all of them folks is conjuring all the time. That's what y'all doing too. So you can just stop. You gonna get mad at me. Christian folks get mad at me because you call me something, I'm gonna call you the same thing because that's what you're doing. You just calling it a different name. Doing divination too when you prophesying over somebody and all that stuff. You doing Reiki when you laying your hands on somebody trying to heal them. You doing the same thing. You meditating too when you close your eyes, start talking and saying the same thing over and over again. You saying a mantra. Okay. So don't let them folks fool you with them names they say they stuff is. It's the same thing they doing over here. That Jesus was a country man too. You could just stop that. That man was sitting up there raising the dead. That man was doing necromancy, talking to dead folks, going to that man was doing all that stuff. So if I'm a witch and I'm evil, so is Jesus. He's doing the same thing. We doing what the man was doing, and you getting mad at us. Okay? So don't let them folks pick on y'all out there. You have to just tell them what they was doing too, cause right there in their Bible, they got crystals in their Bibles, and the plate of Aaron was made of crystals and all that stuff. Then you gonna call that stuff evil after your God told them to make it? What's wrong with you? I mean, you gotta be. It's gonna happen when you start following people, though. Okay, that's why you follow your ancestors. They ain't gonna make no fool out of you. Okay. Yeah, so they can be the only one to use it, honey. You gotta tell them folks, okay? You gotta tell them folks right there in their Bible. Them folks was number country folks. Now y'all calling it something else. Y'all calling it something else. You can call it that, but we call it something different. But we all doing the same thing at the end of the day. We all doing the same thing at the end of the day. So you can call it whatever you want to call it, but I tell you what, we all doing the same thing. Our ancestors saw it with their own big beautiful eyes and they called it on out. Okay. That's why they was able to do the things that they was able to do and tap into power. We really didn't have no power until our ancestors understood it and gave it power. Bible didn't have no power until they put it in our ancestors' hand and we lit it on fire. Okay, they put it in our ancestors' head because we understood it. Y'all didn't understand that spiritual science, but they put it in our ancestors' hand. They set that thing on fire and made it work. Okay, what do you think about this administration doing? They got magic behind them. Yeah, they're doing it. They got the thing about looking at American government. I was just thinking about that. I'm glad you brought that up. But when you start looking at the government over there, these people, because again, they write these occult books. These people they be government officials, they be high ranking officers and all that, and they go out and they write these occult books and stuff. They in the lodges with a lot of these politicians and stuff. They are masons. You already know that. A lot of these uh people that are popes, that are, priests and stuff, most of them, it's a form of mace freemason they got going on there. Okay. So what are you seeing now is that you have them participating in mass ceremony. This is what they perfected. Most of the occultists is going to uh, focus on ceremony. That's where they're getting their power at, because all of them have perfected the art of ceremony. It's all acting, like they tell you, it's all the stage. That's really what ceremony is about. And so if you act and you stage long enough, again, you bring in the reality. But they're doing witchcraft again, the dark form of psychology, because now they got the gaslight you. That's what makes that ceremonial magic dark, because again, you got a lot of phallic worshipers in there. It's centered on phallic worship and inversion. So that's what you're gonna get with that. Okay. And you're gonna get a lot of sick people with that, because it's a bastard down, watered down, uh, sort of magic, that has to use illusion, deception, manipulation, and lies to work on people. And what people gonna have to do, just like what, like I say this again, and I know y'all ain't ready for it. It is so sad, because I grieve this all the time, because I can't even come back to America, because I'm so afraid. Uh, because we got too many, what y'all young folks call them NPCs. People walking around here don't feel nothing. They don't want to stand up. They don't want to do anything. They just going along. They're just following people. They just don't have an independent thought in the world. People will have to really, instead of these hoodoo practitioners throwing work at each other, they really need to be getting together, creating ceremonies, collective ceremonies, to counteract what's going on there. Really getting back connected with nature, because these people, they don't want to be connected with nature. They the opposite of it. They want to destroy all that. They want to poison the water. They want to poison everything. So the best thing for hoodoo practitioners, especially the Wiccans, the nature based practices, need to go out and start doing ceremonial rituals together on that land. You never know what's gonna happen when you connect with that land. When you connect with that land, the same thing you saw that happened in Avatar will happen there then, when you connect back with nature and that land. The whole planet will repel these people. But we got to give reverence back to that land and connect with that land. The people gonna have to connect back with that real power. That's where our power is at. You have to do that collective. Can't be throwing magic at each other. That's how you think Haiti was able to do what they did. Again, they called their ancestors and they got in contact. Again, the Petros was born. Those war spirits was born. You're gonna have it. That's just my take on that. How I understand you're not gonna you're gonna have to have that. Ain't nobody at the sky gonna come out and save you. Ain't no aliens gonna do that. None of that. They ain't gonna happen. It just ain't gonna happen. And I think they got us mesmerized with this stuff in the sky gonna come out and come save you. That's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You're gonna have to get to those altars and get together and start again calling on your ancestors in that land and start telling them what's going on. That's a real thing. You ain't got I see a lot of people say you got to learn your lineage. If you start talking to your most beloved elevated ancestors, your ancestors gonna come forward. You can learn your lineage. You can go ahead and learn it if you want to, but you're gonna learn so much more if you start trying to talk to them and listen to them. I've learned too. Is them folks in them books, and sometimes them people they put lies on. They put lies, especially when it come to history. They didn't lie so much about our stuff. The ancestors told me stuff that not telling. Well, that's I didn't read that. They said them folks is lying. We not even from there. We not from no Africa. We was everywhere. We everywhere. We the beginning and the end. There'll never be no end to us. We here. We was already here. What are you talking about? These folks is lying to you. It don't make sense. Okay, people will lie to you. That's why I tell people to, please follow your ancestors. Stop following people. Don't even follow me. Okay, I'm gonna steer you in the right direction because I don't want to be wrong with no spirit. You can't fool no spirit, so don't get over here and try to think you can. You can't. Okay, I do like they tell me to do. Even when I advise you to do something, I'm gonna say make sure you clear with your ancestors. Do a divination and see if this is what they want you to do. Just because I recommend it, don't mean you should do it. This is a recommendation. I am following the guidance of spirit, but I want you to double check and make sure this is what your ancestors want for you. Okay? That's the main thing. Folks need to get you follow no ancestors, not trying to do no spell they telling you to do, showing you to do. Did your ancestors tell you to do that? I have to always tell that when people want to come here and show you how to do something. Did you tell them don't do this unless they ask their ancestors first? Because your ancestors taught this to you. They want you to do your magic like this. Their ancestors probably want them working with some water. Their ancestors probably want them to sweep the floor. They probably got something simple for them to do. Their ancestors, because some of these practitioners, you got to understand too. My magic that I did last year is not gonna look like the magic I do next year. It may advance. It grows. It transforms. Okay? It will grow, it will transform. You'll add something because you're always again, hoodoo is all about adapting, growing, evolving. That is the thing that I love about the ATR spiritual sciences and our cosmology. It's set up in a way to where we're always growing, adapting, and evolving our magic. Okay? It's really advanced. That's why I don't see why none of our ancestors why it was mostly men, but I don't even know why they took their butt up in that lodge like that. And they it's to me it's like turning the back on your ancestors uh to give your allegiance to the lodge. Because when you work with hoodoo, it's sort of like you have this allegiance with your ancestors. You're remembering, you're standing with them instead of standing with this foreign spiritual entity that they have created up in that lodge that's focused on phallic worship, that's focused on inversion. That's just my perspective, you guys. They was trying to be on the inside, I guess. I don't know what they did, but they messed that up. They got a whole bunch of folks sick with that, with these oats and stuff they was taking, and then becoming boule. Again, they turn their back on their ancestors and okay. So again, when you're working with these energies again, and you're working with fire and you're working with water, the next time you're picking this up, and you have some people that's like that. You have some people that will start off slow if they want to work with a different element. There's a hoodoo practitioners that just work with water. Water. You have some hoodoo practitioners that just work with lamps or they work with fire. They burn their petitions. They got a cauldron. Okay, you have petitions like that, practitioners like that. You have some practitioners that can open up their mouth and turn some stuff down and lift some stuff up. They work with that air. They can manifest so fast. They just good. They just you know. We got one sister on there. I think she's called Dorothy. Dorothy House. I think she worked with the ancestors. The sister is a prayer warrior because that's what her grandmother taught her. So she know how to conjure with her mouth. You got some people that can rain down, can speak in tongues and rain down some. You hear me? They can rain down some power with their mouth. They can turn some stuff up, and they can lift some stuff up with their mouth because they got a mighty. They mighty with their mouth. Okay, you got some people that can do that. Sound is very powerful as well. They ain't got nothing but their mouth and some incense, and they turn up some stuff. Something simple as that. Or they got some herbs in their hand, and they ain't got nothing but a herb and a prayer. But that prayer is so mighty when they open their mouth, stuff is shifting. The minute they start opening their mouth. Thank you, Q. Q 9550. Okay. Soon as they open their mouth, it don't really matter because again, get you to open your mouth and get you to conjuring again, because that's the most powerful work you got. When we talk about air magic, okay, talk about breath, talk about air. Again, that's the most powerful because that's your communication communicator. That's your frequency. You setting the frequency and the tone for your magic. Okay. And it don't have to look like nobody else. Some people can say a simple prayer with enough intention, and bam, something shift. Okay. Yep, that's because the ancestors had to work with what they had. They had to do it said with intention. And honey, we was going over what's his name, Bishop Mason, and listening to him preaching there, you can feel the ethers. Your skin quivered. It shifted. Goosebumps got just raised up on you. You can tell them our ancestors, they go to humming and go to preaching. You can just feel that shift in there. You knew the spirit was in there. That's powerful. That's all. Sometimes that's the only thing you can do when you get to your altar. You don't know what to say. Start humming. Start calling out. You start feeling the shift start coming in. That it don't matter about it's the intention behind it. Sometimes my ancestors didn't have to say nothing. They'll just go humming, and you can feel that energy start coming down in that room. You can feel that power start coming in that room. Even they humming had power in it. It had a frequency in it. You understand me? Thank you, Candy. Yams. It had a frequency in it. Sometimes that's enough to get your work going. Don't Okay? It's a frequency behind it, and the intention behind it would get your work to moving. Sometimes you don't need to be a prayer warrior. Sometimes you only think you need to go there and be able to tap into that energy and start humming. Sometimes my ancestors did not know what to say in the church. They didn't even know what song to sing. You would just have somebody start humming, and then everybody else humming. Before you know it, the spirit and broke out. It's heavy in that church. It's all over you. You know I ain't lying. You know I ain't lying. I had did when we go over that lecture. I think if y'all guys didn't saw it yet over there in our community, I break that down. How Bishop Mason was tapping into that air magic. That man was a conjurer with his mouth. He was mighty with his mouth. And when you see that too, you see that with Malcolm X. Malcolm X, great conjurer, good with that mouth. You hear me? Man can lift up some stuff and turn some. You got to be careful with that portal in your mouth because it's power in it. Okay. Most powerful thing and sometimes we ain't got prayer warriors. Sometimes we got some folks that know how to hum and you know how to focus. You have to focus on your intentions. You can move some stuff. Okay, so you seeing that country when you see Malcolm X, when you see Martin Luther King, those great speakers like that. Those are conjure folk. They good with their mouth. You get some conjure folks, they good with that music. They can conjure up stuff with that music. It's all about sound and intention. You may not be able to say none at that altar, but if you can play you a good old gospel song, because I got a few gospel songs I like to play when I'm trying to tap into that frequency that I already gonna shift me there. And I play that and honey and start shifting myself into that frequency. So you got the tools there, you just don't know how to use them or what they're there for. Okay? You got the tools. The ancestors left you everything you need to tap into them and to tap into your hoodoo. There's no reason why you should not know what your folks want you to do. There's no reason why you shouldn't know about your magic your ancestors got for you. You got your own magic. It don't have to look like nobody else. It don't have to make sense to nobody else but you and your ancestors. Okay? So Linda, you can record your own voice and listen. I do that because I've now started making my own meditations. I have some on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. I made several meditations there. Oh, baby, I got real with this. I was going to connect with my ancestors. Wasn't nobody going to stand in my way. And that's what needs to be happening here. I know folks is showing you stuff, baby, and that's good. But it's better if your ancestors show you. I promise you. Ain't nothing going to work and shake like your ancestors going to show you. Ain't nobody magic better than your ancestors' magic. I'm going to show you that too. You get over there, I'm going to show you that. I'm going to convince you of that. You understand me? That's how you going to be thinking. That's how you going to be moving. That's how I'm going to be treating you. Okay? I'm not going to be treating you. No. You the priests. You are the priestess, the empress of your ancestral magic. You are the great magician your ancestors is using to bring about change and healing. You got to see yourself like that. Okay? The way Malcolm X used words should be a mandatory learning. You hear me? That man was fire. He was fire. That man can light up some stuff with his mouth. You got folks like that in that church. Like I say, we're going over Bishop Mason. We covered herb magic and conjuring, and I wanted the practitioners to hear it and feel it. That man was working with some power in there. You know, oh honey, it just works you over. You got the whole church humming when he preaching. I said, oh my God, that's a different type of spirit in that church. You hear me? You won't know it wasn't none but ancestors in that church standing with them. That's the kind of power that hoodoo have. Okay? That's the kind of power that you have. It's still there. It ain't going nowhere. You just got to, again, learn to work with your ancestors. Stop, you know, follow your ancestors, not people. And if people are, if you're going to be doing anything or listen to anyone, again, it should be in line with your ancestors. You can't really have hoodoo without it. I'm not gonna be showing you nothing without pushing you over there to your ancestors, because that's not what you need. They're gonna show you magic. That's gonna come later. That's a byproduct of hoodoo. You're gonna do that automatically. You're gonna get over there. There ain't no sense for you to start picking it up first, and you ain't got no relationship with spirit, but you want to work with all these elements, and then you looking crazy when it don't turn out the way you want to. Our people need to get out of church and commune with the ancestors outside of church. I say the same thing, honey. But honey, that ceremonial magic that they participate in, that communion that they participate in, that giving of their energy, their money, and their currency, it keeps them in a binded contract and the delusion with that, because now y'all done made a pact with that mess. The white Jesus in the sky and all this stuff that program religion is a hell of a drug. So I think I tell that stuff is worse than crack, some of it. Okay? Religion is a hell of a drug. It's a hell of a drug. Okay? Got these folks so mixed up in their mind. That's why I had to tell people too. And don't get me wrong, I love some of the ATRs, but for me, what drove me to hoodoo, and I knew because I had did a lot of research into Ifa. I have did a lot of research into voodoo. I had did again the religion. I love the spirits because I'm very spiritual. I love the spirits. I love the spirits. I saw the ancestors in the spirits. I could really connect with the ancestors through the spirits. But honey, when I got to their religion, I said, I'm not doing this. I'm not jumping into one frying pan out of another. I'm not doing that. Because you trying to tell me what to do. And that's what got us in trouble, not following our ancestors And no, I'm not doing that no more with you. I'm staying right over here with these ancestors, and I'm gonna follow spirit. I'm just gonna have to learn how to communicate with the spirit because I'm not. People are flawed. I'm tired of people. Okay, people are flawed, and you get over there in some of them houses, they see you have spiritually gifted. They're gatekeeping, won't let you grow. You see that in religion. You see a lot of gatekeeping, and they harming people that's babies in the spirit, and they don't want you to grow. They see that you talented. They see you mighty in the spirit. Some of them don't even want you communicating with your ancestors. You see some of that in these houses, all of them like that, but no, I wouldn't say no, all of them like that, but it's a lot of that going on. I'm not finna deal with the Rick and roll with that. I deal with that with religion. I'm not gonna do it over here with y'all. I just stay over here with hoodoo and follow my ancestors. They ain't gonna lead me wrong. I may not understand everything they tell me, but later on down the road, I get it. Okay, I'm not gonna be following no people like that. They ain't led me wrong. Now I had a lot of them try to get me into their little thing, and I say, you know what? I'm very happy with my ancestors. I ain't never thought about getting in no religion. And they ain't never told me I need to be initiated to work with none of these things y'all showing me, because when I'm looking at this, all of it is ancestral. At the front of all these practices, it's ancestors, ancestors, ancestors. And y'all pointing me to a Orisha, but nothing comes before the ancestors. Y'all can't even call the Orisha before you call the ancestors. So what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Now I don't want to be over there. If the ancestors want me to work with them, they will pull up on me. I assure you of that. If the ancestors want you to work with these spirits, believe me, they will bring them to you. They will start showing up. And I'm not lying. They can tell you what they want to tell you. That's why I said you start talking to the ancestors about certain things. They'll tell you certain things. When the ancestors start talking to you something, it'd be a different story. You'd be like, "What they tell me that?" They'd be like, "I don't know, child. I don't know why they tell you that, but that ain't so." You talking to people. Stop talking to people. Talk to your ancestors. They know. They the spirit. Why wouldn't you ask the spirit? I like the Nation of Islam. And see, I didn't know there was a difference in that. Because when I was talking about Islam, somebody was asking me, was I a Farrakhan Muslim or some kind of Muslim? There's different types of Muslims. I didn't know that until somebody was asking me that. There's different denominations of Muslims. I'm going to tell you about all these religions. I'm just going to keep it real with you because I'm going to break it down to you why the ancestors broke it down to me. All of them come from a woman. They all made up. Allah was Allah. These priests over here trying to get the Shekinah glory to Sophia, to the divine feminine. I already told you everything started off as water as divine feminine. Okay? All these folks made this stuff up. These men come up with these religions, took all these divine feminine spiritual sciences and started to capitalize on them creating religion, turning a lot of these gods into men. I break that all down in our community. I bring because I'm a break it down. I'm gonna take the misogyny out of it when I teach it to you. I'm gonna take that out of it. I'm gonna decolonize it for your own beautiful mind. Okay, to help you understand it. You ain't gonna be confused. I'm gonna break that down to you just like the ancestors broke it down to me. I'm gonna break it down to you. I'm gonna tell you the exact thing. When they was telling me, it didn't make no sense either. I said, "Are you kidding me?" They said, "Nope, we're not kidding you." Then I started running information. They don't be lying. You may not know, but they don't be lying. You hear me? Ain't damn person told me the truth. The ancestors are only thing that have been telling me the truth. Cause the man ain't gonna tell you. Okay? He gonna give you his story. You sit down and talk to them ancestors. Because I'm telling you, when you talk to your ancestors long enough, you're going to come in contact with these older women, the first mothers. Especially if you're healing a mother wound, you're going to come in contact with these first mothers. That's how it happened for me. And they're going to start telling their story from where they first began. And the more you dive into these mysteries and stuff, that's what everybody's trying to go back to the mama. They trying to get all that. Ain't no man did nothing like that, girl. Okay. Everybody trying to get back to that divine love, that the divine feminine. That's where it's all coming back from. Every occult book I've ever opened up and all that, the peak of their power is again connecting with the divine feminine. That's why I have to go back and I have to look at I want to dive deeper into Pascal Randolph work because again he was using this magic, this sex magic, and I'm just like that was just so odd to me because now you're using this in a all male lodge. How are y'all harnessing this energy? What are you doing with this energy? How are y'all directing this energy? So I mean it's just really something. Okay. So again, they made that up. So, and then you have to remember too, when I look at what's the man name, the prophet who was married to what was her name? What's the wife name? Fatima? He married that woman who was rich. Okay, that woman was rich. And if you look at her story long enough, that woman was a priestess. You got a lot of these men that was learning these occult sciences and stuff from these women. When I again, if you guys start looking at these philosophers, Plato, all these other stuff, people they want you to think they learn from another man. Hell no, they was learning from wise women called Sophias. They got you thinking they come up with this philosophy on their own. They when I say they stole everything from the divine feminine, from the rooter to the tutor, that's exactly what I mean. The math, the science, the philosophy, the medicine, all of it came from divine feminine. And I'm if that piss you off, well, be mad. Be mad. Because that's where it come from. Okay? They had to water it down to use it. They even had this when you go into Ifa. You see a little bit of echoes of that in their religion because most of the priests over there, the men have to go through the divination sort of ritual. Women don't have to do that. Why? Because it's innately already in us. They have to go through the ritual to try to connect with the divine feminine. That's what the tree of life in Kabbalah is all about. Kabbalah is about these patriarch Jews. They get this Kabbalah tree of life, which they stole it from got it from the patriarchs in the Kemetic sciences because they created it first. Now I could break all this down for you. Y'all making me get on a soapbox here, and I ain't trying to get there. Cause okay, but I'm telling you, they stole that stuff. That stuff all come from women. That's why you got them patriarchs in that Bible. But remember, you talking about a patriarch Bible, and all of a sudden they want to be marrying women. They marrying these women because that's how they getting their spiritual power. Moses married that woman. That woman was a priestess. She was a priestess. She knew magic. How you think Moses learned what he learned? He learned that from the Egyptians. He wouldn't have known that magic, and that tripped me out. How them Abrahamic patriarchs like to talk about Egypt in there, but y'all can't stay away from there learning stuff and they feeding y'all stuff. But y'all can't stand Egypt. You can't stand them, but yet you are there. You even taking a magic. Ain't nothing, ain't nothing that can show me. I ain't seen nothing that didn't come from the ancient mother. Ain't nothing I've seen that ain't came from the ancient mother. I don't care what they talking about. You understand me? Now I take you right there with your own big beautiful eyes, and I break it down so you can see it with your own eyes. So you know Miss Penny ain't making this up. I take you straight to the book. They said with their own mouth where they got it from. Okay? They ain't made nothing up. They ain't originated nothing. Good night, Diamond Goddess. They ain't originated nothing. These men ain't originated nothing. It all come from your great mother. That's where it's all going back to. And they can be mad at me if they want to. No, I don't care. But that's the truth. They even said it in their books. And it just trips me out how they go in there knowing this fact, and then they go in these lodges and start with the phallic stuff. Where they go in these religions and they steady talking about these men, and it's just again a lot of inversion, a lot of gaslighting, a lot of lying going on there. A lot of this power was put into place because y'all subjected women and you put on that. I was seeing some man, he was talking about it was a woman. She said men wanted to have a cycle so bad. You had some of them in ancient years cutting a little slit in their scrotum so they can bleed like women. You even had some monks that would just castrate themselves to be close to the divine feminine. This is a thing. Okay, because I'm gonna break it down for you. Okay, you gonna be confused. You're not gonna be you see how much, and then when you start understanding this lets you know too the intensity of the envy it is for women. And it helps you understand that war on your great mother. And we still have it going on. Yes, a little bit about race, but it's about you too. It's about controlling the divine feminine and your portal. You think it's a race war. No, it's really a war on you, girl, woman, you. Get to the deeper meaning. It's about you. Because it starts and ends with you. If you want to shut this thing down, you can. That portal you have is very powerful. It can shut down humanity if it wanted to. It can shut down this whole world. But you thinking this ain't about you because you got a whole bunch of men keep on telling you you ain't important, you ain't important. Close your legs and see how important you are. Close them. Protect your daughters and start closing their legs, and then you see how important women are. I bet you then we be important. I bet you then you'll be bound down. You ain't supposed to be bound down to each other anyway. That's why you crazy the way you is. You supposed to be bound down to women. But that's where they get you. Whole bunch of phallic worship, it gets you a whole bunch of dysfunction and stuff. That's where they get you. Okay? Especially over there in America. I think they the most they really carrying that misogynism. Okay? They trying to hide it, but trying racism. But if you lift up racism, you gonna see misogynism standing right there. Move racism out the side. Misogyny gonna be still standing there because these men still want to rule over women and children. I started looking at it when the great mother started telling me. I said, "Damn, racism seemed like a cover up from the real problem." They said, "Yeah, we said the same thing." Let women start coming together, and I mean of all races and creeds, and start shutting things. We'll change this whole world. It will shut down. That's the power you got, and they trying to fool you. That's the power you got, and they trying to fool you. Close your legs and protect your daughters, and watch how fast things shut down around here. So quick. You'll get some understanding in. I bet you get some understanding in. We have did it before. We have done this before. They call us evil and everything. We did it. We have stopped wars before because we knew how to control our portal. We knew how to get them in line. This is when women ruled. All them empires you seeing. We got pyramids here. We got pyramids. Yeah, because these women, you had a matriarch queendom. All the religions got something in common because they all coming from women. Women created these spiritual sciences. It may look a little different depending on their children and where they're at, but it's some of the same spiritual concepts. That's why when you get to a cult and you start studying the cult, that you might go, it's gonna run you into the Indian occult, it's gonna run you into the German occult. All of them are very similar. But see, you just studying one book. Somebody got you studying one book and told you hoodoo is limited like a church, and it ain't. Our ancestors looking at all this. Okay? They looking at all this. How you think they understood things? They understood this. Okay? So again, I'm gonna go back to these things. I'm gonna get off my soapbox now because I said what I had to say. I can get kind of riled up about that because the lie the illusion is so strong. You know, illusion is so strong you will miss that if you ain't doing the work. But again, if you want to work with these elements, water and fire, we have just broken that down. Fire, be careful. It can mess with your temper. It can mess with your health. And I would say the same thing about water. Water, you work too much with water, you'll be a little bit loopy, a little bit delusional, maybe overly emotional. It can mess with your health. Okay, so you want to be very careful working with these energies. Yes, it's possible to work with the spirits that's over these elements. We talk about that a little more in conjure and giving you a guidebook on how to do that safely. Um, but yeah, it's possible to work with them in your magic. And this is what our ancestors did. They worked with spirits, you guys. This is what they did. They had a relationship with these elements. They had a relationship with nature all around them. Okay. And they understood that there were spirits attached to some of these elements. And once you recognize that and start again forming a relationship, just like you form a relationship with your ancestors, you can do the same thing with these elements, and it just amplifies your work that much more when you have sat down and formed a relationship with these elements and you know how they work. I hope that makes sense. Does anyone have any questions for me? Because I know I've kept you a while here and we have broken down a lot of things over here. And I have gotten on a soapbox. Y'all had me talking about this stuff. Um, I sent you a DM about the astrology chart and hoodoo reading. Okay, I'll check it when I get out. Okay, and main thing I'm gonna need is your place, your date of birth, your time of birth, your place of birth, and your email address. I'm gonna need those things. I need all that: the time, the date, and the place, and your email address. Okay. So if you want that, I can get that done for you. You'll know exactly what you need to be doing and what kind of root work you need to be focused on, including the kind of ancestors work you need to be doing as well. If that's something that you're interested in, and now we're getting ready because we've covered the elements over there on Patreon. All my community, y'all gonna get a little rest here, a little rest here in a little bit because we covered a lot over there. Every day I have you learning something. It's something that you have to learn every day. And some people, you work at your own pace. There's no rush over there. You just work at your own pace. But of course, I'm always refining things, posting things over there, give you opportunity to see things from a different perspective, variety of materials over there to give you the opportunity to learn things at your own pace. Like I said, it's no rush there. We do have quizzes over there as well because I want to test how much you're comprehending, making sure you're understanding what you're reading and the lectures that's over there. So I go over that. What book do you recommend for blood bending? I don't know anything about blood bending. We don't talk about that. I've never saw that in hoodoo. I don't know where's that coming from, Royal Goddess. Where's that coming from? Where's that coming from? Because that I ain't said, I ain't never heard of no blood bending in hoodoo. Okay? I don't know where this come from. If that new age stuff, y'all stay away from that stuff. Hoodoo is enough. Hoodoo got enough. Them folks is stealing stuff from you, calling it something else. So leave the new age stuff alone. Okay? Them folks, that ain't your stuff. Them folks looking at your stuff and copying off your stuff and calling it something else. So new age, hoodoo is enough. Your ancestors left enough for you over here to learn. Don't get over there with them folks. Them folks got something else going on. I'm telling you now. I did the same thing. The ancestors told me to get my butt back over there where I belong. That's not where you belong. You don't belong over there. That's why it don't make sense because you don't belong over there. Okay? I'm sorry when you say over there. The new age. The new age stuff. These I got people going crazy because they think they got a twin flame, and that's not where they come from. The twin flame comes from them making these archangels because these archangels come from the archaea. And so these are our ancient form or divine feminine energies. Because you got to remember when you first go into Kemet, the first angel you see is Aset. That's the oldest angel you see. Matter of fact, she called Queen of Angels. They call her Mary now. Call her by many different other names, but it's still the same thing. Okay? And so when they start making these men sort of angels, they say, hey, we're going to separate the energy because, again, their energy looks more like a flame, fiery energy, intense energy. So they say, hey, we're going to make these archangels, we're going to pair them up, and they'll have a twin. And so you have archangels being paired up with the archaea with women angels. And you'll see most of them represented in the virtues. The virtues are the oldest angels, they are the ones who perform the miracles. So that's where you get twin flame from. Because most of the archangels are paired, they wouldn't have this power without the divine feminine archaea archangels. These are women divinities. Okay? So that's where you get twin flame from. That's where you're getting that from. Okay? That other, y'all have to sit down and think of that is a made up, that's a new term. Now, if you just want some love and you want to love in your life, we got magic over there for that. Follow me, boy, follow me, girl. Come to me, boy, come to me, girl. We got that kind of stuff. If you want some love in your life, we got workings for that. But that twin flame stuff, that somebody that to me that sounds like a whole bunch of codependency. Cause baby, you came in this world by yourself, and believe me, I ain't seen no family size coffins or no coffins that's made with couples. Okay, it's just to me it's just another form of codependency again to wreck up y'all life because most of these people that's chasing their twin flames, their life is all jacked up. They not the love life ain't good. You know, again, probably need to deal with self. I would like a hoodoo reading and astrology reading as well. Okay, just DM me your time, the time, day, and place of birth, and your email address, and I'll get you out an invoice. Okay, and I'm just telling you, baby. So, I don't know what you mean by that um blood bending thing. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that blood bending thing is. I've never heard of that. And again, you'll hear new stuff out here all the time. You guys be careful out here. I'm just gonna tell you hoodoo is enough because your ancestors gonna show you some stuff that you ain't seen nowhere else. This enough over here. Them folks over here trying to make up stuff to be like you. Don't be going over there with them. They following their iconic uh metaphysical person, which is Aleister Crowley. A lot of them follow Aleister Crowley. We don't follow him. A lot of them is following him, okay, or Edgar Casey, those folks right there in their movement. We got our own folks over here in Hoodoo. This is okay. Matter of fact, some of these folks got to look at your stuff to do their stuff, okay. So you don't need to go over there. There's no reason to go over there and look at their stuff at all because they looking at your stuff, calling it neo paganism when it comes from you. They just calling it by a different name. Yeah, I could break all that down. I'm kind of nerdy like that. Okay. Y'all have any more questions for me? I'm gonna let y'all go now. And I'll be coming here again. We're going to get in deeper and deeper into our conjure over there. Uh, a lot of practitioners, you're going to really start putting things together, putting some work together with some of the things that we're going to be overgoing because we're going straight into conjure. You're going to be looking at materials that again get you familiar with conjure, that gets you familiar with root work, get you familiar with the some of our hoodoo terms that we use. So we're going to be going over that. So we're going deep into that. Just going to be going deeper into that. Okay, and we've covered a lot over there. We've covered a lot of break that all down so you will not be confused. Okay. All right, you guys, I'm gonna let you go, and I'll be back here Saturday. Yeah, Saturday I will be back on if that's something that you're interested in. We're gonna be talking a little bit about Hinduism and Vedic astrology. Uh, we had a follower on here, and she said, I want to talk about that. I had some insight about that. I was like, I don't care. You can talk about that. Probably my product. You'll probably give me some insight on things because I'm still very shocked it's in there like that. Okay. All right, you guys. Love you. Take care.